Hey everybody, Mike Toy Bonsai Boise. This is called a Jacqueline Hillier elm. I picked this up at a nursery last October. I thought it was cool. I love elms in general. I have some Siberian elms, but I had never heard of this before. I did a little research on it, and the best I can determine is that no one knows who actually came up with this hybrid, but it originated somewhere in England. It was just found in some English courtyard somewhere, and nobody knows how it originated. So maybe there's more to the story that I couldn't find. I don't know. But anyways, I thought it was interesting looking, and I thought it had great potential when you look at that trunk. Usually you see a big bush tree like this, and it's just a bunch of cuttings stuck together, but this was just one single trunk. So it's not perfect, but it's definitely got cool potential. So I had to refrain from doing any repotting or anything because you don't want to do that in fall. But I cleaned it up a little, got rid of some dead branches to get a better look, and that's how it looks with some of the branches cleaned up. I have some decisions to make, especially at the top of that main trunk there on the right, and even that smaller trunk going off to the left. Keep it, lose it, gotta make all those decisions. But this is one of those projects that you have a lot of options. Seems like you either have too many or not enough. In this one, we got a lot, so that's good. The hardest part was just waiting all winter and then spring. From what I read about it, it could be a slower growing elm compared to others. Siberian elms are really fast growers. But the little bit I found on this said it was a slow grower. We'll see. We're going to dive into it here in a second. I am going to take it way back. But before I do, I just, out of the corner of my eye, caught this kind of cool sunset. This is actually facing east, so the sun is going down in the other direction, but I just thought it left a really cool glow. I wanted to capture it. This is at the house I just moved out of this week. I'm going to miss that view. But back to the tree. I'm definitely going to try to take some cuttings, because that's what I always do. I know Siberian elms root really easily from cutting, so I'm hoping these ones do too. So here it is in March, about 5 months later. All the leaves are gone, of course. You can see the structure a little bit better. So you can see that main trunk goes up and then it splits off into like 5 directions. So that's not going to work. I have to reduce it down to 1, maybe 2. So do just a little cleanup so we can get a better look in there. I'm thinking this would be the front. You might be wondering what cuts I'm going to make or which ones you would make. I know I do. I watch a lot of bonsai videos and I always think, oh, this is where I would go with it. And sometimes it goes that way, sometimes it doesn't. But right off the bat, I'm thinking that main one there is going to have to go because it just goes straight up and it doesn't taper very well from the main trunk. So since we have so many options, may as well go with the good option. So that one's gone. This is actually the next day. So you see, I'm starting to lean toward that trunk line. It goes up slightly to the right, then a lot more to the right, and then up again. So I'll work my way in there. Get rid of that one. Maybe you can start to tell where I'm going with it. Also, this may not end up being the final design. Who knows? It might grow in such a way that I'm like, I'm going to go in a different direction. We'll see. Let's try and clean this up. That was a little more rough cut than I intended, but it got the job done. So I know this looks goofy. They usually do at first. Kind of looks like a bug with an antenna. But here's a rough version of kind of how it's going to look. And like I said, I still don't know if I love it like this. There's a lot of long, straight trunk at the bottom half, top half, all around. But I wanted to do this in such a way that I would have flexibility later. I didn't want to paint myself in a corner where, oh man, I cut off so much that now I just sort of have to go in this direction. I think this affords me the flexibility as it goes on. Once it back buds and grows out again, I can change direction. I can go a different way. Because I've got it splitting off into so many directions now, I just think it gives the flexibility for that. So I'm going to patch up some of these cuts. And then we're going to put it in a pot. This one, in fact. It's kind of a plain, straight line, black, glazed, kind of shiny looking pot. It's a little bit on the large side, relatively speaking, but that's okay. I wanted to give it some room to grow and recover from this hack job I'm giving it. I do remember it was pretty tight, which is kind of surprising once you see the inside of it. As you can see, I got my saw and just decided to go ahead and cut it in half. Poke at it for a while. I'll save you some of the drudge work of, digging the dirt out of there, but just to give you an idea, I'll look. It looks more dirt than root, just at a glance. But then once I get all the dirt out of there, you can see there's quite a bit of roots. So I'm going to try something too here on this. I'm going to expose the top inch or so of those roots and try to give the trunk a little bit more room below the split point where the first branch goes off to the right there. Because that branch is pretty low. This is my soil mix. It's just a mixture of pine bark, perlite, pumice, academia, and volcanic rock. I've started to get away from the safety absorb. It gets clumpy and I kind of feel like it does more harm than good sometimes. So I'm experimenting without it. And back to the root base. So I'm exposing the top inch or two of roots, because a lot of times I think what will happen is it'll fuse all together and just become part of the trunk. Kind of like that. There's kind of a cavity there in the roots, so this will be a long-term project. We'll see how it goes. I'll just fill it back in with soil. Work the soil into the roots real good. Water it down real good. And this was it at that stage. Once I potted it up, it's a little risky exposing those top, inch or two of those roots. Sometimes trees don't take to that very well. Sometimes they die. So it's a little risky. But, you gotta take a risk sometimes. Put some stability rocks on there. One last close-up look of it, and then I'll show you some progress. I'm curious to see how this one goes. I've never had a Jacqueline Hillier elm before. Like I said, I've never even heard of it until I found this one. So I'm real curious to see how this one goes. It's got a ton of great potential. Elms in general are kind of tough. They are susceptible to Dutch elm disease. Elms are in general. Siberian elms, from what I understand, are not. I don't know if this kind is. This Jacqueline Hillier elm. I don't even know how they get it. But I understand once they get it, it's pretty much too late. So this was all done about March 20th, 21st. Here it is a couple weeks later. You can see buds popping out. So that's a relief. But I've also seen where that happens and then still they die. They'll sort of bud out and then just, die. But it's encouraging so far. Here just a couple days later after that, you can see those buds are turning into leaf. Sorry for the shaky camera work. I just wanted to take a couple of quick clips to show progress. Buds coming out everywhere. I was also curious to see how it backbudded. Not just if, but how and where. Because they all do it different. Sometimes they do it in spots you don't want, like there. So I'm getting rid of some of them where I don't want it. I'm pretty confident at this point that it's going to bounce back. So otherwise, I wouldn't do this. It's showing no ill signs, so all is looking well. Here it is a few days after that. You can see it's really starting to leaf out. Kind of funny, it leaves out in this row, almost like like if you ever seen crops, being farmed where they do it in a row. It's almost like that, the way that the leaves are coming out in a straight line up and down the trunk. This top part I don't know about. It's not looking as good as the rest of it, so might have a little bit of dieback. We'll see. But otherwise, it's looking healthy. I put a little more bark around the root base just in this beginning stage. Here it is about a week later or so. It's looking good and healthy. Got little scars and cut marks everywhere. That's okay. So even though it's back budding and everywhere, I'm just going to let it go for the most part for a little while before I start making some decisions. But the good news is that it's back budding everywhere. It's exactly what I hoped. I hoped for something like that where we'll have some options later. And then here it is as of 5 minutes ago. I just walked outside, and a month after repotting it, but 5 minutes ago as of now. So it's looking good. And also, that top part did survive. So all around good news. If you have any experience with this type of elm, please do share. It's a unique hybrid of elms, so would love to learn more if you know anything about them. Please like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate everybody who does. You can see more updates on this, and I've got tons of other trees I'm always doing updates on and working on and experimenting with, so you can follow my journey on that. But that's it for the Jacqueline Hillier elm for now. More to come. Thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day, everybody.